Hi everyone, Scott here with Tennessee Technology Solutions, formerly known as Telecom Guide 10. I figured I was overdue for a new video, and today's particular subject is going to be some interesting radios I got a hold of from overseas. Now, those of you who may be watching in Eastern Europe, the UK, and some of the other countries are probably going to laugh at me for this, but those of you here in the US have probably never heard of this radio or this particular radio protocol. Today we're going to be talking about the Motorola MTP-850. This is a TETRA radio, which is really interesting. It's a digital protocol. It's a little older, and I'm not real well versed in the technology or anything like that, but these radios were never sold or intended for the US market. But you can find them with band splits that support the ham radio frequency. So if you wanted to use them between two ham radio operators, you can absolutely do that. I have two of these radios with me. I got these recently last week. They came from an eBay seller in China. But the radios are in English. They actually shipped them pre-programmed for me, which was really nice. So I figured I'd just do a quick video on just going over what these radios are capable of. They operate in two different modes. There's trunked mode, or TMO, and direct mode, also known as DMO. These radios are operating in DMO. The seller was nice enough, without me even asking, was nice enough to pre-program them for me. So right out of the box, they came pre-programmed. So these two radios will actually talk to each other. So I'll go over the radios themselves, what they look like, the function buttons, things like that. You'll notice, just comparing to the size of my hand, these radios are much shorter and much smaller. This is really more like a cell phone. Anybody that's my age, I'm almost 30, who is around for the Nextel phones, this will be a familiar size profile to you. This is similar to like an iDen R765 or the R765IS or the i355, very popular ruggedized Nextel phones. The radios, these are 1.3 watts output. They are UHF. They come in UHF 350 to 390. There's a couple different band splits. Obviously, they're not quite FCC aligned because they were never intended for this market, but there are some that will go up to 470. There's the newer MTP 3000 series, I believe. Someone will correct me, but those will go up to the ham bands as well as high as 470, I believe, is the highest I've seen, without going into the 800 megahertz version. So anyway, all that techno babble aside, you guys want to see the radios, so I'll go ahead and do a quick demonstration. So hopefully this is clear. So to start, we've got a standard stub antenna with a proprietary connector, and then on top we've got two things. We've got a volume knob with really nice clicky detents, and you can adjust the volume. I usually keep mine fairly low. You've also got your typical emergency button. I have not gotten my programming cable in for these yet to see what the options are that you can program with the function keys. But to start, this does have an emergency button. If you hold the key down, it will emergency alert on the channel. We've also got the push to talk button as well as two function buttons here and here. On this particular radio, it looks like they've programmed it to turn the display light on or off on the top button, and then the bottom button seems to pull up the screensaver. Now you'll see here there's a value where I've put my name. You could put your call sign there, things like that, or just a phone number if the radio's lost and someone happens to press the button. You could put a phone number there so they can call you to return the radio, that kind of thing. It's not required. It's in the wallpaper settings. So I believe there's a way to load wallpapers on here. Like I said, I don't have my programming cable, so I haven't seen that yet. This radio is remarkably similar to Nextel's. I know I said that already, but I wanted to reiterate that. I mean, just looking at the icon design of the screen, the font, even the key press sound when you press the keys, it's just like a Nextel phone. And if you've used a Nextel phone before, this sound will be familiar to you as well. So many of you, myself included, who were around and used Nextel phones and enjoyed the push-to-talk phones, this is actually kind of a nostalgic thing to hear again. I don't believe that these radios are capable of sending call alerts like the DTR series radios. I've got some over to my left. But you can store contacts with a radio ID number. So I've got radio 1 and radio 2. This is radio 1, this is radio 2. So you'll see I have a contact in here for radio 2. So if I want, I can establish a private call. You'll see how it says private in use with the radio ID. And then the other radio, you'll also see it says private in use with the radio ID. It also says radio 1 as well as the radio ID number. These radios have built-in GPS. So if you go to the menu, and I'll try to do this looking in the reflection here, and you scroll down and go to more, and then all the way at the bottom here we've got location. Now I've got an accuracy option, which is neat. So if I want really accurate GPS, I can set this to high, or I can set it to medium. Medium apparently has a power save option that will, I guess, reduce the amount of time it pulls the GPS chip to save battery. So it actually warns you about that. So if I switch this to high, let's go to accuracy. And if I go to high, you'll see it actually will warn you exiting location power save mode. So I typically leave that on medium because I really don't have a need for it. But if you go to position here, it will actually tell you how many satellites were used to triangulate the position. You can also hit refresh if you want it to refresh if you're moving around. You'll see it just updated there. That's a neat feature. It also gives you recent calls. You can see, so if you've made a recent private call, there's only one in here, which is radio 2. It shows received calls. You'll see there's a bunch in here from me playing around. We've also got missed calls. There's nothing in there. Let's see. We've also got my info. So we've got my private number. So that's the number that's hard-coded into the radio if memory serves. And then we've also got my phone number. So these radios can also function as full duplex phones. So they actually, I believe these actually have SIM card slots in the back of them. Some of them even have dual SIM. Those of you overseas will be familiar more so than I will and will correct me in the comments, I'm sure. We've got a setup menu. We can use vibrate mode, ring style. We can set the volume of different options, like for a simplex volume, I believe that's the ringer tone for a simplex voice call, I believe is what that's for. We can also turn the keypad volume up or down. I prefer to keep that fairly low because it can get annoying if you're making a lot of changes. You can also change the language. This one in particular, like I said, came from China, so we've got English and different versions of Chinese. We've also got some audio sections like audio profiles. This one's only got one in here. I believe this would be something you would change in CPS. Got a howling suppressor, which I think is really smart. If you've ever been in a position where you've got, let's say 2 patrol officers, just for the sake of example, we'll use police. If you've got 2 patrol officers that are in the same space and one of them keys their radio in their same talk group, you get that audio looping, feedback, squealing, howling noise that everybody's like, ah! So that's what this feature will help eliminate that. I've also got an audio toggle option because there's a microphone here, and the speaker is kind of right in this area for loudspeaker use. But you've also got a microphone down here in the tip, and you can do the low speaker mode. So you can actually, like if you're doing a call, you can also do like a covert surveillance mode where you can turn off the loudspeaker, and you can actually use the radio like this if you'd like. If you've ever seen a Motorola XTS 4000, it looks like a flip phone. That functionality is the same, where you can use the earpiece, like if you're in a more covert situation, or if this radio's tucked away, you can also use the accessory connector here on the side, which seems to be a 2.5 millimeter connector there, and it's also got a screw connector there, so it actually screws in. That way it doesn't come out while the radio's in use. All right, let's see here. The keypad is backlit. You won't see it very well. It's backlit blue, which I think is pleasant to look at. And then when your radio has a GPS fix, it actually gives you an icon on the screen that shows you that there's a GPS fix. And it will actually beep at you when it loses GPS fix as well. It's also got an icon for when you're in simplex mode. Anyone that's used an Apex series radio, or really any Motorola radio in the last 10 or 15 years, will recognize that icon. And of course, we've got our battery indicator as well. These are 1.3 watt radios, so obviously the range is not going to be as noticeably good as maybe a 4 watt UHF portable. But again, when we're dealing with radio, it's really the line of sight that's more important than anything. These do have a removable belt clip. You can also remove the battery. Let me power this off really quickly here. And it just says powering off, shuts off. And then to remove the battery, there's a push button on the bottom. You just push it and it swings away like this and slides out. And I'll show you, there's not much to see here. You'll see there is a SIM card slot back here. I have not tried to open it on this radio because I don't want to damage it. But these batteries are, this one's actually got, it's their 1850 milliamp hours and it's a 3.7 volt battery. So like I said, these are really a lot like cell phones with a two-way radio capability. Very similar to Nextel. So you see how it just clicks back in there. And of course, like any Motorola belt clip, you can, if you've got a strong enough fingernail, you can get it in there and it just slides out of the top of the radio. So anyways, let me turn this back on here. And you'll see this is the boot sequence that goes through. It boots in about 8 to 10 seconds. It shows you the private number, and then it's ready to use. Test. So you see here, whenever you do a standard group call, we'll do that real quickly. I'll just show you. So this is radio 2. You'll see there, it beeps at the end of the transmission. And when you key up, there's actually a little, let me turn the volume down on the other radio here. When you key up, you'll see the actual, there's actually a little animation that spins around while you're talking. Okay, so I guess I'll do an audio demonstration. So let me step away here briefly, and I will set up the GoPro at a better angle where you can actually just look at the radio itself.
Okay, so this is an example of a group call. You'll see that it says group in use on the screen. You can see the name of the particular talk group. And DM01 on the screen, which is just direct mode 01. I believe that's just talk group 1. Hopefully once I get the copy of the CPS, or excuse me, once I get my programming cable, I'll be able to give you guys a better idea of what's programmable, and I may actually do a programming video. There's really not a lot of content, at least English language content about these TETRA radios that I can find, so I'm hoping maybe I can become a resource, because these are really awesome radios. And I'd love to see more people here in the States get more interested in some of the oddball stuff that just wasn't available to us. So anyways, I'll D-key here, and then I'll do a private call so you guys can see what that looks like. Be right back. Alright, so you'll see here now, this is a private call. You'll see how it says private in use. I'm using radio 2, so you should see radio 1 on the screen, or it might be vice versa. The screen's kind of dark on the end this end, but hopefully this is a good demonstration of what the digital audio sounds like, and we'll move on.
Okay, back with you here. Hopefully that was nice and clear for you guys to hear. One more feature that I'd really like to demonstrate, which I really think is one of the most valuable features of these radios, is the text messaging capability. So if we come into the menu here, you'll see we've got messages right here at the top. So what I can do is I can compose. So we've got a full keypad. All of these radios have a full keypad, at least of this particular model, have a full keypad. So I can just come to new message, and this looks exactly like any old school cell phone that you've ever used. And you just key in. So if I want to say hey, I hit 4 twice, 3 twice, and I type the word hey. And then if I want to send that to the other radio, it asks me for the private radio ID number. So in this case, I always forget what it is, so I got to look it up really quickly. And the other one, my private number, 9222916. So I'm going to 9222916. I'm going to enter that in there. And we'll go ahead and hit send. It says sending message. You'll see this one alerts. It actually confirms delivery too, so the radios actually do a two-way exchange with each other with no repeater at all. No infrastructure. These are just two radios in my shop by themselves, and they actually confirm the text message was delivered to the device. So it will actually alert you if the person you're communicating with is out of range, which I think is really nice. So you'll see here I've got a nice little animated one new message thing on the screen. So if I hit read, it says here from radio 1, hey. So we can respond to that. It actually puts the same text in there for me, so if I want to say the same thing back. But I'm going to type hello just for making things a little bit different. So you'll see I type hello there. We'll hit send. You'll see the other one alerts, one new message, message delivered, like that. So now I just come to read. There you go, from radio 2. Well, that's pretty much it. If there's anything in particular you guys want to ask or that you want to see, if you want to see more content on stuff like this, definitely let me know in the comments. I pretty much just shoot a YouTube video when I feel like I have something interesting to share, and I felt like this was definitely worthy of that, because most of the videos of these are just folks in the UK. They're like 30-second or less videos where they're really just kind of pressing buttons and not really demonstrating anything. So I couldn't really find any good demonstrations on these particular radios, and I think they're definitely worthy of some attention. This is a super neat little device. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I'll have some more content soon on some of my Motorola APX or Apex series radios. I'm going to talk about do a long-term ownership review and talk about it. The Apex radios, as most of you know, especially those of you that are hams, know how expensive those Apex radios are. So I have an Apex 6000, a 7000, and an 8000, as well as the Bluetooth remote speaker mic. I paid for all of those with my own money, so won't talk about how much it was because it was a little painful. But of course I didn't buy them all at once. But they're definitely worth the money. So I hope you guys will stay tuned for that video. Take care in the meantime.